Hello. So this week I've put a little bit of a filter on just to hide in the background. So this week we have a guest, Denise. She's based in Spain. I've not actually spoke to her yet, so I'm not sure if she's British and moved to Spain, if she's Spanish. I'm not sure, so we'll find that out. But we're going to speak on Denise's mental health journey, and she's got a few things that she wants to talk about. So I think it's not just her journey, it's also potentially other family members, although we won't fully discuss them because they're not going to be in the video. Like, we won't give names or anything, hopefully, unless he's gave her permission to do so. But yeah, and I know I missed a couple of weeks, and I'm sorry. I have been in my bed. I can't even tell you. My anemia has been so bad. I've told you, I think the last couple of episodes I've been really tired. I've been going to my bed at like 7 o'clock at night and things like that. So I was at the doctor's last week and got my blood results, and that's what it was. It was my anemia, and also my hormone levels were low, so we had to adapt other medication too. But yeah, now I'm back and I'm starting to feel myself again, so we're back in the groove. I'm busy next week. I don't know what's going to happen in next week's episode. If I get a chance this week, I'm going to record it. If not, I need to see what we might need to do next week slate, because that's my mum going in for her operation. She goes in on Monday. I'm only to take it for there, what happens. But yeah, all going well. We'll be fine. And if not, I'll keep you updated anyway. But let's see what Denise is saying. Hello, and this is Denise. I've already done the introduction just before you came on. So welcome to Reboot Your Thoughts podcast, Denise. Do you want to tell people a bit about yourself, where you're from, and a bit of your background?
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Denise Kubica. I am originally from Michigan in the USA, and I reside in Spain. So I'm in a different time zone now and having fun with all of that.
That's funny, because I just made a video a second ago and I said, I'm having a lady from Spain on my podcast, and I'm going, I hope she speaks English. No, she will speak English. And then I'm saying, I wonder if she's British and she's moved to Spain, but you're not, you're American and you've moved to Spain. Okay.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, when I saw you scheduled from London, I thought, okay, that's easy. Yep. I don't have to calculate the big old time zone difference
it's
like
so
I do
hard.
with,
It's like staying up half the night.
Exactly, yeah.
So what made you move to Spain?
There are a lot of different reasons. It's not just one thing. It was a series of events, a sequence of circumstances. And I think that the biggest benefit that I've had is the ability to calm my cortisol and my blood pressure. Okay. It's been a work in progress to just build some kind of life that isn't go, 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 that isn't all about the hustle. And so that's kind of where I am now, is being able to work to live and enjoy and do things at a reasonable pace, and quality of life has just improved astronomically since being here.
Because you need that work-life balance, don't you?
Yeah, a lot more than before. But it's not it's not just that. There's a lot of lifestyle differences. So not only is it, a more social atmosphere that just is great, but I like an urban environment, and that's just not a possible kind of life to live in the USA. It's just not a reasonable, solo, affordable kind of situation. But, just one of the things that Americans, I think, tend to overlook is the ability to walk everywhere.
Oh, really?
It's a simple thing, but it makes a huge difference. I had to drive to find sidewalks where I'm from. So it's just one of those things. Yeah.
I had planned to move to Portugal when I was in my teens, and it was supposed to be me and my cousin both moved, and I would have been roughly 17 and she was going to be about 18 when we moved. And we had friends over there that had their own businesses, so we had jobs and everything. We had accommodation. They were going to put us up until we found our own place. And then my cousin got a boyfriend, So she decided she wasn't going. And then my dad's like, well, you're not going. If you're going, you're not going on your own and blah, blah. So that was that up there, and it never, ever happened again. And I keep saying, one day I might do it, one day.
Yeah. Yeah. I came alone. It was me and a cat. So, and I didn't
Well, I
know
keep
anybody.
thinking
I
about
kind
going to
of
Portugal. Yeah.
pointed at a map and there I was. So
That's it though.
part of
Sometimes you
the
just need to
process.
take that jump, don't you? Like, I keep thinking about starting up a retreat potentially in Portugal, and then I'm like, oh, would I go to Greece? And it's just, there's so many options, there's so many beautiful countries in the world that you just don't know where to go. Just somewhere that's a bit zen. Too
Right.
old for party life now.
Yeah, it's very different than where I was. It's a lot of uh like struggling just every day. There was a lot of that, just trying to make it through.
Mm-hmm. I've never been to America, so Michigan, is that quite a busy, fast-paced part of America?
Not necessarily. So Michigan is where I'm from, but I lived all over the
Oh, right,
US
okay.
in 3 other areas, and I spent before moving here, the last 10 years in the South, in the Southeast. And although it's not a hustle pace, it is a hustle culture. So you are still expected to go, 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 go.
Yeah,
There's a pride in not taking vacation days, a
it's more
pride in
about the
calling
mentality
in
than
sick.
anything
And
else.
yeah, yeah, yep,
Ah,
exactly.
okay. So when
Hmm.
we had first spoke, I think we'd both commented on a post on Facebook, I think it was, and
Hmm.
then we'd spoke on Messenger, and then you had emailed and whatever, and you were telling me a bit of your backstory. So you've had a bit of a journey with your mental health, haven't you?
I have been, yes, yes,
Yeah,
still on it. It's
same.
yep.
I don't know if I've said to you already, but my journey started when I was in my early 20s, although my mum says it should have been before that. Early 20s at first kind of started to show signs. I just wasn't myself, and then eventually I also had an eating disorder. So I was initially diagnosed with clinical depression and an eating disorder, and then further down the line they'd said it's potentially bipolar and an eating disorder. And they were going to test me, and then it was one of the ones where every time I went to an appointment, like my community psychiatric nurse, the CPN, it was the same person I seen at every appointment, but when it came to psychologists and psychiatrists, they were like, you would see each of them once a month, so it'd be like 2 weeks in between, and every time you went, it was a different psychologist, different psychiatrist, and you would go back to the beginning of your journey. So I never ever got told whether it is bipolar or not. I do think it probably is, just purely going by all my symptoms and my traits and whatever. But it's so hard. It's so hard to get somebody who, not just that you click with, because that's a big part of it. You need somebody that you click with, but somebody that fully listens and fully understands when you're on the journey.
Entirely. Yeah. Mine has been quite self-guided as a result of that.
Okay.
Not I mean it at least in the pursuit of a diagnosis and treatment, it's been self-guided. I won't start at the beginning right now, but what I will say is that it started as a major depression disorder, clinical depression as well.
Yep.
But it wasn't being treated well by
No.
antidepressants, and then it turned into an ADHD diagnosis as well on top of depression. And then the treatment for ADHD triggered a manic episode, and I have ultimately been diagnosed as bipolar. And it is a late diagnosis. I was 40 years old, but it is something that for lack of another way to put it, I have been trying to get the diagnosis. And it wasn't the diagnosis, it was a diagnosis.
Yep.
And I think that's what this is.
And it's not, and I think a lot of people misunderstand that. Sorry, I've not put this on silent. Misunderstand it, and they think that we just want a label. It's not that we want a label. We just want to know that somebody's listening and to potentially be on the right medication or the right treatment. It might not be medication, it might be talk therapy, it might be something else, it could be anything, but we just want to be heard, and we just want, I suppose, somebody to say, you're not imagining it.
And I feel like being heard, the label isn't important per se, but the label does communicate. Like, it helps us understand what things we can expect. It helps us understand what things others can expect when we communicate about it. It's not a label of us as a person, it's a collection of information about our diagnosis. And ultimately, yeah, like you say, it's about the treatment. It's what can we do now to help us with these things we're experiencing, the problems. And
this is the thing, and the whole reason I started this podcast, and it's, although we do talk on other topics, it's primarily about mental health, and it's because, and I don't understand, in 2026, there's still so much stigma about mental health. There's still so many people that don't believe it. And they're like, oh, just get on with it. Or what are you crying for? Or, do you know what, like making all these remarks and comments. And what I keep saying is, just because you haven't experienced it, luckily you haven't experienced it, doesn't mean to say it doesn't exist. And one thing I will say is, when you're in the gutters with your mental health, it is the loneliest place you'll ever find yourself in. And that's not about being on your own. And you could have 100 people around you. You could be on the phone constantly speaking to friends and family, whatever else, but you still have that loneliness inside you. And it's not that you don't care about them, but they're not understanding. So you're going through this yourself, essentially.
100%. That's how I can do something like move to Spain alone. And that is what it is. It is not something to be afraid of, because I was already alone in so many senses of the word.
Yes. My youngest, he was diagnosed as autism as a young child. But I fought for years and years and years, even for anybody to listen to me. And I do think the big part that they didn't listen to me was because of my mental health. And it was like, oh, that crazy mum, she's just imagining things. She's just this, she's just that, because she's not well herself and everything else. And then it ended up he got not a late diagnosis, but late in the sense that he could have had it 6 years previously. So he didn't get the help that he needed from the start, because they all judged me, in my opinion, which then prevented him getting the support that he needed. And now we're in a point where he's never really had the support through school, and he just doesn't really do anything apart from, he stays in his room. He goes to college 2 days a week, and that's almost as much as he does. He'll go out maybe once a month, if that, with a friend, but I've got to drive him there, pick him up. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's very dependent.
Yeah. It's it's unnerving to watch somebody else go through that when you care about them and you do understand. But it for me, I don't know that I had that. I didn't have that because I had asked for help and was not getting it. So
it took the doctors almost a year from when I first went to them to say, oh, there's actually something wrong here. Put me on medication and refer me to other people. And I mean, we're going back to very early 2000s, like 2002, maybe 2003, when I was first went to see them. And then it was, in fact, it would have been longer than that. It would have been a couple of years. I think it was like 2005 before I was actually referred to anybody, and on medication and whatever else. So it's very, very hard, and it's a long journey. And although I don't know if patience is the right thing, because patience doesn't really come into it when you're going through mental health. Nope. But somehow most of us manage to kind of muddle through. But this is why there's so many people that don't manage to muddle through and end up, we read in the papers every day, we see it on the news, we hear it on the radio, that some other poor soul has just been that distraught, that lonely, that whatever, and they've ended up taking their own life. And this is another thing where the whole stigma things, and a lot of people are like, oh, they're so selfish, they're so this. And it isn't about being selfish. It's about, they think that's the only thing that's going to help them. It's not being here anymore. that's their only way out, because they're not getting the support from their medical team, they're not getting necessarily the support from family and friends. And that's not saying anything about family and friends in a bad way. They potentially don't understand it properly if they've not gone through it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
My
it's
my
so
little
sad.
brother, excuse me, my little brother was also diagnosed bipolar, younger brother, and he made, I know of one attempt, but I understand now that it was two.
Okay.
And then ultimately he died in a car accident, not
Yes, I'm so
in the
sorry.
scariest way, but ultimately he died in a car accident. And watching, because of his struggles, a lot of the attention did go to him and his struggles because they were far more extreme than anything I
Yeah.
was personally going through. And it was a scary thing for the family, including myself, because he was my best friend,
Okay.
to go through this. And he felt alone. He
Mm-hmm.
really did. And it was really hard to be able to grasp what was going on with him that could possibly lead him to want to take that
I
kind of
I
action,
have I have been there. I didn't actually follow it through. And the only reason I didn't follow it through the last time was because I couldn't get a babysitter. And the one thing I always said was my sons would never walk in on me in that way. Um, and that was the last time that they were going to potentially section me. But then I had asked not to be sectioned and whatever else, because I said, if I go into hospital, you will bring me out in a box. You really will, because that was my biggest fear, was being in the hospital. Didn't matter if I was in a box anyway, but at this point I thought, no, I need to do something. I really need to get the help. So I had a crisis team that come out to me every day, but not everybody has that. And it's terrible to say luxury, but in a sense it is a luxury to get somebody to come out to you every day and check that you're okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have that at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. The actual diagnosis for myself and where it got scary and what sent me on that personal path of starting to advocate for myself did come about because of that scary moment of, I scared myself.
Yeah.
I really got to a point of, the best word is despair. And I had considered it. I did call for help. I called the hotline.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, I got some help that way, and then started looking for doctors. But that was 20 years, kind of too late. Like it took 20 years to get to that point. Um, to give you the backstory of why it took so long to get the diagnosis and how I even got to that point. When my brother died, it took a lot of the attention off of him and put it onto me, because I was in such a state that
Yeah.
I needed as much support as I could get. But it wasn't, it was support for the loss of my brother, not for me and my state. And so I had started to recognize, before that happened, I had started to recognize some of the overlap in things I was experiencing and things my brother was experiencing. One of the things was a sense of rage with intrusive thoughts. And we had a lot of police fights. Police had to be called as a result of fights. So there was a lot of rage, but I had started to feel that. But after he passed and I started to say those things out loud, like, I think this is what's going on with me, it became no, you don't. Like, I was just trying to take on my brother's personality because it was such a difficult experience to lose him because he died, right? So I spent a lot of years after that, I often on antidepressants, until I finally it was 10 years later, and I finally got a diagnosis with, like I mentioned earlier, with major depressive disorder. And so they, kept trying to treat me with antidepressants, but they would never work, and nobody would listen to me. They would never work. And along the way, I just kept asking for help from family. Like I would say to my mother, I would say to my father, like, I think this is going up. No, 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 no. And it's not that they didn't believe, it's that I wasn't my brother, that I was trying to capture some of the attention that he used to get, not that I was asking for actual help, that I was experiencing these things. And so it just kept getting pushed off. And finally, um, I ended up with an ADHD diagnosis because of all kinds of things going on. And I was like, I really need some help. And I started taking stimulants, and stimulants, they trigger manic episodes. They're known to do that. And although I had some manic episodes in my life, they were not, depression was unbearable, but the mania, I would recognize it, but it wouldn't be so extreme that I would think I could fly, right? But there was grandiosity. There was a sense of I can do anything, literally anything, and I can do it right now. And what happened in the moment of the trigger, I crashed and burned my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I was living alone. I was running a business, self-employed, and solo. So it wasn't like, actually, no, I did have people that worked for me at the time. And I crashed and burned everything. I spent every dollar I had. I borrowed as much money as I could and spent all of that. I maxed out every credit card I could. I did pay the people that I was supposed to pay. So I did that, but I stopped responding to customers, so I wasn't making any more money. I stopped doing the job that I had already been paid to do. I just crashed and burned everything. And I still to this day cannot even tell you what I spent that money on. I can't even tell you what I did in those months of holy cow. Like and that was when I went, okay, so I've been trying to get some help here, but it's time. No, it's really time now. And finally went, and they were like, well, that was like your whole life. I'm like, I know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I finally did get the diagnosis and ended up on medication that brought me out of the depression and keeps me from going a little nutty. So, but now, because I'm so diagnosed, I'm pigeonholed with a certain type of personality.
Yep. Yep.
Like people have decided they know who I am as a person because I get so enthusiastic and big, like I'm really animated.
Yeah, so you must be on a high. It can't just be you feeling that way.
Right. But before the diagnosis, people just thought that's who I was. They
Yep.
didn't realize that I actually had a disorder that was making those things exaggerated.
Yeah.
Like I really was enthusiastic, but it was exaggerated. And so there's a different kind of loneliness that comes from that
Mm-hmm.
when people think they know who you are.
Yeah.
And you're
I've
like,
had
but
to cut
wait,
off
I'm not that
friends.
way.
Yeah, I cut off friends, and there was one who was like basically my best friend, and I had to cut her off because she would constantly say, I think you need to go to the doctors. I don't think your mental health's right. I don't. And I was absolutely fine. And I would even say to my mum, almost like reassuring, she keeps, and she's like, you're fine. But it was almost like people are trying to drag you down. That's the way it felt. Is that almost as if they were willing you to have another episode? They were willing you to do whatever. And I was like, no, enough's enough. I can't listen to this every single day. So then I cut them off. But I think as we get older, we just realise who and what we need in our life, if anybody at all, I suppose. But it is hard, and it's very hard to trust when you've got something like a diagnosis for anything, whether it be mental, physical, whatever. I think it is very hard to trust anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes family members.
Yeah, it really does. I haven't spoken to my mom or my older brother in almost 6 years, which is just before I got diagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
contributing that to some of what I was going through before I was diagnosed and medicated. Not
You had
entirely, but
mentioned,
that
sorry,
I'm
on you
sorry.
go, on you go.
I just that experience of not being believed that I could, and not being able to trust that I could come to them for any of those things. And then it just turned into this confrontation that was exaggerated because of what I was currently experiencing. And
Yeah,
then it just, there's never one answer to any of it, but it certainly plays a big role. And there's a lot more to it. Like there's a reason that it's been 6 years and not
of
like a month.
course, of course.
But that played a huge role. Was like, I can't count on you.
Do you think that part of the reason they didn't believe was because they were worried that your life would go in the same sort of path as your brother's? Obviously, your brother's sadly been taken, but not because of the mental health, but obviously he had tried a couple of times potentially, and then obviously the car crash. Do you think they were worried that they were going to lose you?
No,
No, they just
no,
didn't
they were not.
believe.
They were not. They didn't. When I got to a point that I had scared myself, it was before I got the depression diagnosis, the major depression. I'd been diagnosed with depression forever, but major
Yeah.
depressive disorder. And that I had an experience of full despair. I called my mother at that time, and her response was, "Why are you telling me? Go tell a doctor."
Um,
And while that is an accurate thing to say, the level of support there was non-existent,
the
and that was
empathy.
just another example. Yeah, it was just another example of all the other times that I was trying to get help. Like, and it's not just help like, hey, I need you to treat me. It's, I need support, right? Like, I need support so that I can handle this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think part of why they didn't believe it per se, or that it wasn't something that was a big deal, was that I was functional enough that I could take care of myself.
Yes.
There was enough that's a result of having to be hyper independent because I couldn't count on anyone, right?
Yep.
So there is a sense of, well, you can hold a job, you can keep your apartment, you can do all, you're fine until I wasn't.
Yep.
And there was there's a
It's
I
okay.
didn't know
Take
I'd
your
still be
time.
upset about that.
No,
I
just take
didn't
your
know
time.
that
Don't
that
worry at
would
all.
still upset me, to be like, they they've never checked on me since.
Yeah.
And that's neither here nor there at this point, but it's it's just a demonstration, right? So no, I don't, whether or not they believed me or believed it that I was afflicted with this, they wouldn't or didn't offer any support.
Mm-hmm.
And I what was interesting, about 2 years ago, which is after diagnosis and after medication started, it was working. I had visited my grandmother, which is my mother's mother, and she, it had been not long, but a couple of months, and I was like, I wanted to tell you, like, I have officially been diagnosed and treated, successfully now for the last couple of years with bipolar. And she goes, "Oh, I know." I said, "What?" "Oh, I know you're bipolar."
She could see the
Nobody
signs.
knew. There was nobody who knew. Nobody knew. Like, I hadn't told anybody. So to hear in that moment, "Oh, I know," blew my mind, because there
Yeah.
wasn't anybody who heard from anybody else that there was actually a diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
But I had been asking for help for 20 years. Please help me, help support me so I can get this done.
Yes.
And then to hear, "Oh, I know,"
Mm-hmm.
after all those years of not knowing, of
Yeah.
being told no,
And all
or
you wanted was for somebody to confirm that you weren't, pardon the pun, going off your head.
Yeah.
that this was actually happening in your life.
Yeah. 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 Just
It's so
hold me up
hard.
while I go
It
fall
is. It's
apart
so
like a
sad.
professional. Yeah.
And the thing, like going back to the whole, but you're still working, you still this, and this is where people don't believe others that have maybe got addiction or whatever,
Yeah. Yep.
or people with addiction can potentially hide it as well,
Mm-hmm.
is because they can carry on their everyday. But just because you're carrying on your everyday does not mean that in here you're not going through hell.
Exactly. Exactly. There's the ability to, you want to be okay.
Yes.
You want to, you genuinely do. And in order to, with addiction, in order to pursue that, you still have to do these other things to make that possible, right? That's another, you
Well,
can't
to an
not.
extent, with bipolar, when you've got a high, when you're on a high, you've almost got an addiction because you get so focused, like you say, hyper focused on something. Like you spent all your money. So I had three different things. So I had like that spend, spend, spend. I didn't have money. I was a single parent, initially with just one child, and then with two. So I would spend. I would turn to not drugs, sorry, alcohol, and I would turn to sex. And it wasn't sex with a partner. It
Mhm.
was sex with
Mhm.
whoever.
Same.
And
Well,
people
not
don't
alcohol,
realise,
drink,
and
but
it's not
yep.
because you necessarily want to do that, because most of the time I was crying all the way through it. But it's just, it almost takes your mind away. It makes you feel normal. I
Mhm.
remember going to the doctors one day, and he said, "What do you want, Aileen?" And I said, "I just want to be normal. I want to be like everybody else. I want to feel like everybody else. I want to be able to go out for a meal like everybody else. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that, but I can't, because I was constantly, especially when I had my eating disorder, I was constantly comparing myself. How could somebody eat that and they look that way? Whereas if I was to eat that in my head, I didn't look that way. And I got to a point where I was like 5.5 stone, and I had two children, and I was, I think, about 28 at the time. And my doctor said, "I didn't realise you got to that weight." And I was like, I mean, you can see it. I'm not exactly massive. And it wasn't that I constantly wore baggy clothes. You do hide it to an extent, but not all the time. But it's just for somebody to kind of put their hand on your shoulder and say, everything's going to be okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it will. And if anybody is listening to this and is going through, it does get better. It can get better, but it's all about having the right support around you. And speaking is a big thing. You need to speak your thoughts, because if you don't speak your thoughts, they grow and grow and grow until the point where you feel like there's no more space for your thoughts. And that's when people tend to try and take their own life or harm themselves.
Mhm. Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying.
So, how long eventually did it take you to get your diagnosis?
Um, she diagnosed me my second appointment. My psychologist did. Um, because I was in a dire situation where I was becoming homeless. I was living out of my car, I guess, as homeless as you can be, living out
Yeah.
of your car. And because I didn't have a support system and because I was desperate, they got me in rather quickly. And it was, it was, it was also, I'm grateful because, not to get into the American healthcare system, but the Affordable Care Act, the
Well, that's
Obamacare,
what I was
and
just about to say. In
coverage.
America, it costs an absolute
Yeah.
fortune. I mean, we're lucky in the UK where we've got the NHS, but even the NHS at the minute, it's like a 3-year waiting list. So
Mm-hmm.
if people are so desperate, they may have to go private. And although I am a private counsellor, I still think it's heartbreaking that people have to take that route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And if I hadn't had insurance at that time through the Obamacare is what we call it
Okay.
affectionately. If you benefit from it, it's affectionately. Because I had that, I was able to go. Like it was part of the coverage, and I could seek I could seek appointments on a regular basis. And so I was
That's
able
good.
to do that for about 2 years before I lost the insurance.
Right, okay.
Um, and that was, enough to get the diagnosis and to try out medicine until I found something that worked. And it's a combination of
Yeah.
mood, whatever you call it, mood. I want to call it mood enhancer. That's not the word. Mood
A mood
stabilizer
stimulant.
and
Yeah.
antidepressant. Yeah. Yeah. And so I was able to get that kind of help up to a certain point. And then, more life things happened, and I can't afford life in the US. And so that's partly what prompted me to come to Spain. But in order to come here, I had I didn't have insurance anymore. So I had to email the psychiatrist and be like, please, 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 psychiatrist. And I had to email her and just say, please, please, please issue me prescriptions for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just leave with enough
Yes.
that I can get there and then get local help when I'm there.
Of
So
course.
I'm at least still, I haven't been here 6 months yet. I'm still able to stay medicated, and, I'm working on getting on my feet.
Yes.
It's a really hard experience to go through this when you don't have a support system. You
Of
still have to count
course.
on yourself. And it's sort of muscle memory because of all the years that I had to support myself. But because I'm starting from -0, below zero, the muscle memory, it helps, but it's been really difficult to get back on my feet. And I
And if you
still, I
manage to
still
look,
run my own business because I'm unemployable. The
yes,
only way that I can make money is to
that's
be
funny
employed.
because it's not funny, but it is funny. That's a term that I always use, and my last guest as well. He used the exact same term. We've had this conversation before, and it's about being unemployable. And I suppose I'm doubly unemployable because I've got myself, who you never know what mood you're going to get me in, although I'm on medication again. And then I've also got my son, where I never know how long I can leave him for, if I can leave him at all. So yeah, and people look at you when you say you're unemployable as if to say, what? And you're like, you clearly, you
Like you're
don't
lazy.
understand, you never will, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's my intrusive thoughts win. And even in the industry that I work in now, there's certainly been a lot of alienating that I have done because I've been doing this for 10 years. So before I got help, before I got where I am right now, there's a lot of I mentioned intrusive thoughts, and the way that they tend to come out is I think I'm saying what everybody else is thinking. And it's hurtful, it's unnecessary, and always inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And it alienates people where they feel like they cannot trust them. They feel like they can't trust me.
Yes.
And it's never the intention, but that's what
No.
happens. And and in the healing journey part of this, it's being able to recognize what that was and how that was. That's not a character flaw. That was a symptom. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had to forgive myself for those things. And that has been one of the most difficult parts of the entire thing, is like you have to forgive yourself for the things that you did go
Yeah.
a little nutty on. And being unemployable because I said those things is part of what I had to go, okay, well, I can count on myself, and they did what they had to do. And now I'm meaning, employers.
Yes.
And I'm doing what I have to do to support myself, but also to
Good.
forgive myself so I can just move on.
And that's the thing, because essentially you don't have anything to forgive yourself for, because this isn't anything that you've intentionally done. This is just unfortunate that a reaction to an illness, in a sense. I don't know about yourself, but I have for a lot of years not had the best memory. Obviously, when you're in kind of at rock bottom, you don't have much concentration either. But I've not had the best memory, and I do put a lot of it down to, one, all the medications I've been on over the years to try and help with my mental health. and two, because there's been so much that's been done to me over the years, I've tried to shut off and forget about, that it's almost like I forget everything now. I've forgot a lot of, I suppose, years, a lot of things that have happened over the years. And it's quite sad because there could be happy memories in there as well, but because you've put that sort of block up, the wall up, and that's the other thing, it's letting new people in as well so hard because you have this wall. And then if you let somebody in and they let you down, then the wall goes higher and higher and higher every time you meet somebody
Thicker
new.
and thicker.
And it's a shame.
It really is. It really is. Yes, as far as memory goes, yes. And it's hard to explain that to someone because just like everything else, it's like, oh, well, everybody has a hard time remembering that kind of stuff or that time of year or whatever it is. And it's like,
And because the age I'm at just now as well,
here.
and everybody's like, oh, it's just your age. And I'm like, I've been going through this for over 20 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't life back then.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's hard. It's so you said that you're working for yourself now. Well, you have done for 10 years. So how are you finding that in a new country?
The work that I've done has, because I work in travel, I have always been able to take my job wherever there's an internet connection.
Brilliant.
And while that's a perk, that wasn't necessarily what drove me to travel. Travel was always an escape, something that was not in my head, something that I was able to outwardly focus on. And that felt like opportunity as opposed to something that I was incapable of or that was always proving that there was, less value in what I could, it was outward, right? And so the point of that is to say that it ultimately put me in this position to work in the industry where I could just do everything from a laptop. And now everything, I mean, it's a little complicated with taxes, but it's still just, I get
That's
to
it, be a
work
new
with
tax
everything is
system
set up.
because it's a new country.
Yeah. So I mean, that's its own, little problem, but being able to work from here is the same. It's just a different time zone issue, right? But it also gives me an opportunity to pursue other things because of the quality of life here.
Excellent.
And develop more of a community. And I'm working really, really hard to do that. That's been really difficult to allow that wall to kind of come down a little bit, to build community in a new place. But the work itself it's the same. It's the same. It's been for 10 years. I do it a little better now after burning it down basically a few years back.
It's all about learning, isn't it? And growing.
Yeah. And I had to rebuild. But here we are, I can support myself a little better in an environment that's a little more affordable compared to the US because travel is not the industry you get into if you want to make money. Let me just tell you.
And the thing is, what you need to keep reminding yourself is you keep trying. A lot of people don't even try, but you're trying, and that's the main thing. That's all you can do is try.
My medicine saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
Being medicated saved my life.
I say this to people all the time, especially a lot of my clients, is because people are so fixated on, I'll never touch antidepressants. I'll never touch antipsychotics. But why? And they don't have an answer for you. And then you go through the everything. Would you take your cancer treatment? Would you take your kidney or liver treatments? Would you take this? Would you take, yeah. So if you had a medication that was going to stop your, or help with your intrusive thoughts that may end up taking your life, so essentially that small tablet or whatever is going to save your life, why would you not take it? And they never have an answer for you.
Mm-hmm.
But it is essentially a lifesaver.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've been on so many over the years.
Too, why so many young people don't want to take their meds even now, like as they grow up, they're always like, I think, here's my theory, that when you are diagnosed younger and you start treatment younger, that you lose sight, as you get older, you lose sight of what life was like without it. And you want to think that, okay, that was then, but this is now. I don't need this. And then there's the cycle of, okay, so they stop and then things get bad and then they start again. And then the cycle repeats. And my theory is that it's because they get treated so young. And I think because I've had I'm not going to call it a benefit, but because I was diagnosed later, I can recognize what life was like without it.
Yeah, I'll hold my hand up. I was that person who kept stopping and starting, because you get to a point with your medication, you think, oh, I'm okay. I don't need this anymore. And then you stop. But I do also think a lot of it is all these conspiracy theories, and the internet doesn't help.
Oh, because, with Big Pharma and all that.
Oh, they Google and they look up all these things, and it's not necessarily the truth that they're saying, but they believe it. I had a conversation with my older son. He's 27 this year, but he was about 15 or 16 at the time, and he just believed everything on the internet. Everything he's seen, he believed it. And I had to sit him down and say, not everything is true, not everything's real. And he didn't believe you until he had the cold hard facts that what he told me 3 months ago, actually that guy was lying. He didn't lose weight in 10 days. It actually took him a year. And I'm like, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. Not everything on the internet is real. People manipulate everything.
Agreed.
It's very, very hard. It's very hard. And I feel for the younger ones, because obviously we didn't have the internet growing up. So we didn't have, I think that's an added pressure they've got. And I think I'm not saying if you bring them up right, it's not about bringing them up right or wrong. It's about if you manage to get them on a certain path and a certain mindset where they don't think the internet is life, and they don't think that the number of followers you've got or the amazing pictures of videos or whatever you've got, if you can get them to see past that, then I think your child is on a good stead. Whereas the ones that potentially, and I'm not saying anything bad about anybody at all, but potentially look at the numbers, look at the likes, look at the followers, look at they're going to struggle a lot. They really are going to struggle a lot, because they're constantly going to be thinking they want something more, or they're not doing well enough, or this isn't good enough, or that's not expensive enough.
To those results.
Yes, everything's got a number attached to it, rather than how happy you are and just enjoying the moment. And I think that's what a lot of the younger generation can't do, is just enjoy the moment now, because they're worried that anything they do is going to be on the internet the next day.
Yep. Those parasocial connections, instead of the ones in real life, are the ones that guide their daily decisions and actions. And it's purely because of the numbers. There are more of those.
100%.
People in your day-to-day. Yeah. Yep.
And I think, like, I've never had a big circle of friends. It's never been something of interest to me. I've always just kept my small numbers. And I think that's what's helped me slightly, is because I don't have to worry about too many people. There's only a handful of people, and I only keep people close to me that I really, really trust. The minute I don't trust you, I don't have any qualms in cutting you off out of my life. I've gone through enough in my life that losing one more person isn't going to make any difference to me. Being on my own isn't going to make any difference to me. I know that I can survive. I've survived a lot in life, and I know I can survive continuously now because of everything that I've gone through. And I think, to an extent, although none of us want anybody to go through a mental health struggle, we do see that in the long run, it makes us a bit more, stable's not the right word, but it lets us see life from a different side. It lets us see what we need and what we don't need in life, and we can appreciate things a bit more, maybe. I don't know if I'm explaining it properly, but it is there is hard days, there's very, very hard days. But you will get to a point where you can start to enjoy life again, or start to have some kind of life again. I don't really socialise that much, to be fair. I'll go and visit friends now and again, but I don't go out partying, because I stopped drinking 13 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. I think it was 12 years ago in January, I stopped drinking, and it was because I know that I go too far into it. And that the last time it was just getting too much, and I didn't know when it was going to stop, and I just thought it has to stop forever.
Well, congratulations on
Thank you.
sobriety.
Thank you. But listen, it's like anything. Like I stopped smoking over 20 years ago. Once you get to a certain point, it just gets easier and easier. You will still have your days where you're like, oh, I wish. But then you just go on, you do something else that takes your mind off it. It's just about learning how to relive your life, I suppose. But going back to yourself, obviously moving, and you got that prescription for the 6 months. Have you managed to look into healthcare in Spain for yourself?
Yes and no. One of the first things I did when I got here was just look for an English speaking psychiatrist. I have the name of one, and that is as far as I've gotten.
Okay.
With moving, what I have since learned since being here is that there's no uh, urgency in life, right? So, which is part of the draw. But that also means that I'm not going to get on the healthcare system here anytime soon.
Yes.
And until I get on my feet financially, how can I go and afford? But it's getting to a point where I won't let the medicine run out.
Yeah. It's a catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah. So what it would
Constantly
take, honestly, is emailing the old. Nobody listened to this part, okay? I don't want to. I don't want to commit postal crimes, but if I have to, I will email my old psychiatrist. And
you've got to do what you've got to do to keep yourself alive, I suppose.
Yeah, and the even now, if I'm 6 to 8 hours late, like I forget, I feel it, and then I'm down for 3 or 4 days where I just want to crawl in bed and cry.
Yep.
And my fight is most often depression. It's the mania that I have to watch, but my fight is most often depression. So I can't function if that's where I go. So
exactly. And it's just everything spirals. Once one, it's almost that domino effect. Once one falls, the rest, everything else just falls straight after it, one after the other.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
But well, hopefully you get everything in place. So how many months have you got left before your medication runs out?
Well, I had, I think when I got here, 7 months.
Okay.
Because I had just picked up a new 6 months, but I still had left. So I think 7 months, and I've been here not quite 5. So I have about 2 months left.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm
is it a way that you can contact somebody and just say, it is getting to an urgent point because I've moved here and my medication's going to run out and I don't want to get to the point, and maybe they would listen to you then?
Maybe just something to, between, okay, today until the appointment, if that's 1 day or 10 days.
Because even if they've got your file and they can see that you regularly got prescribed medication, they could potentially prescribe it to you in the meantime while you're waiting to see somebody. I don't know.
That would be the hope if necessary. Yeah, I did, before I moved here, check that it was a medication available here, because I didn't know anything about that. But I made sure, because I was not going to move if it wasn't. That is how significantly it has impacted my life and my ability to function.
Yeah. So I've not been to Spain for a long time. Do they still have their siestas in the afternoon where everything shuts down?
Oh, everything is shut down from 2 to 3
now this is going to make it harder.
It was the best time to go pick up your bread for the day, because there's nobody in the store.
Yep. Everybody's indoors, and you're like running out while the place is quiet.
But in it, on the flip side of that, I love running to the post office at 8:00 at night. It's wonderful. I don't have to do everything between the hours of 9 and 5.
Yes.
It's you have a more leisurely way to address your day, and nothing has to be done right now because you're going to have the rest of the day to do it. And that has been a huge factor in my ability to be okay.
It sounds like Spain is definitely suits you and suits your lifestyle.
Healing. Oh my gosh. I know we started this on the healing journey, and I just want to say, just coming here and being able to use the skills I already have, which is the work that I do and the counting on myself, because I'm the only one that I can count on, but it's been healing in that like I said, I've been able to start forgiving myself for the things that I
Yes.
did. I've been able to move past that I burned my life down and just accept responsibility and rebuild it. I've been able to um, um, work really hard not to be alone and start letting myself connect to people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've had more lunch and coffee dates in the 5 months I've been here than in the 10 months I had in
Brilliant.
the Southeast, and I
Oh,
wish that I
that's
was
amazing.
exaggerating. And it's a little crazy as I reflect on it, and I don't mean crazy in that sense, but a
No, I
little
know
like
what you mean.
wild, like, wow, this is just in the 5 months I've been here. I've made enough of an effort, and my mind and my self-worth is starting to heal such that I can be okay. And I have a lot of hope for what's to come. I have a lot
Yeah,
of hope for where
that's
things will
good.
go. And
Just
it's
don't be too hard on yourself either about anything that's happened in the past, because just remember that that wasn't necessarily your doing. Although it was your life and it happened in your life, and it was your choices or whatever that maybe got to you to a point, it was choices that you had no control over. Because our minds, our thoughts take over sometimes, and it's not necessarily a thought we would have if we were of sound mind.
yeah. Yeah. It has taken a long time to recognize that. Yeah, a long time.
How's the Spanish going? Are you learning it fast? Are you
Oh,
learning it
no, yo
slow?
quiero aprender español, pero
No
no hablo
comprende.
mucho. No hablo mucho. I
Do you
don't
know,
speak much. I can get through a coffee shop and the grocery store, and that's about it.
we
Yeah.
used to go on holiday to either Portugal or Spain, it just depends. And they would obviously, you've got people in the street trying to sell you things. And it was the times where it used to be they try and sell you the scratch cards to win the,
They're everywhere. Yeah.
yeah, where you would win the timeshare. And my dad used to go past and like, right, we'll just pretend we don't speak English. And they get the guys or whatever, they would come up and they'd be like, oh, we're just, and my dad's like, no comprende, no comprende, no speaking English. And I'm like, you've just spoke English to him. Yeah, every time we would see them, it's like, no comprende, no comprende. But yeah, instead of just saying, no, I'm not interested, but then they don't really take the no, do they? They just chase you down the street until you say yes. So,
Tourist traps. Yep, that's for sure.
is there anything else that you would like to speak about? I don't want to tire you out too much because talking does take it out of you.
It does, but I think it's just been really nice to talk to somebody about it who has been
Lovely.
there.
Yeah.
Um, there's not and to see your face, like I've done my fair share of, online support groups, but
Yep.
never anybody in person, because I think
Yes.
that the only person who truly would have understand or that would truly understand is long gone,
Yes.
and so it's been really nice
Oh, that's lovely.
to,
No, it's been
to
lovely
be able
chatting
to
to
just
you.
connect with somebody who gets it. So I appreciate it.
So you'd said that you've got your podcast. Well, you've not actually mentioned it on here. You'd said to me earlier that you've got a podcast and you've also got your business. Do you want to advertise any of them and send people over to them if they want to have a view?
You know what? My business is based in the US, and it's US
Okay.
only. I can only serve US customers. But the podcast, I would love for anybody who is interested in stories. It's a narrative storytelling podcast about wild, weird, wonderful chapters in our lives that they're found in the margins of travel. They are connected to travel. It's a podcast called The Human Side of Travel. So if you like human stories, that
Yep.
is where to get
And
them.
where is it? Is it on all platforms or is it?
On all the platforms. I release new episodes every Tuesday. It's a new podcast, so there's more to come, but there's a couple episodes to binge and another one
If you
tomorrow.
send me links to any pages that you've got or whatever, I can put them on all the posts when I advertise this, and we can send people over to you and
That'd be great.
get some listeners that way as well, hopefully.
That'd be wonderful. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely amazing having you on. It's been such a nice chat. I hope everything goes well for you in the future, and I hope Spain works. It sounds like it's working out for you already, but I hope it carries on that way. And you get all your healthcare and everything put in place, and your business continues to grow.
Thank you.
No,
And I
no
hope you
worries.
continue taking care of yourself too.
Oh,
And
definitely.
the
I
boys of
just run
yours.
round in circles. That's just me. And I keep saying, I'm blonde. I'm blonde for a reason.
It works.
Listen, I highly recommend it to anybody. Dye your hair blonde, you get away with everything, almost.
I was there for years. Let me tell you, I am loving the gray growing out. It's wily, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to lean into the wily nature of my hair. And as you can tell, it's wily anyway. And so I'm
That's
just
the same as me. I always
Mhm.
say my hair starts going like Monica from Friends. Did you ever see that series where she was in, was it Hawaii? And her hair just kept growing and growing. And that's me. Whenever I go on holiday, my hair goes that way.
Yep. Well, during my manic episode, I know we're ending this call, but during my manic episode, I lost a lot of hair, and so it no longer does that. Like it's very thin now,
Yeah.
and like I used to have a ton of hair that would do that, and now it just
Did you not find though that when you've got the more hair you've got, and when you start panicking, like I had that, I did a small spell where I thought I had alopecia because it was big, massive. My bath was covered in hair every time I was coming out of the bath, and people always say, "But you've got loads of hair, so it's okay." And you're like, "But you've only got a lot of hair until the point where it all falls out." Do you know what I
you only
mean?
have a lot of hair until you don't.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
It's a bit
yeah.
of a
Like please don't dismiss that I'm losing hair.
yeah. It's people try and say the right things, and it just doesn't always land well.
Yeah. Yeah. They try to make you feel better, but don't understand that it's actually dismissing how you feel now. Like you have every right to
Exactly.
feel that way. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh
It's a
dear.
lesson that you learn how to reflect back to people is
Yes.
don't dismiss
And
them.
sometimes as well, it's when somebody says something to you, and you think, you always remember, don't say that to somebody else. Don't, and then it makes you more mindful of how you speak to others as well, because you don't want somebody to feel the way the last person's just made you feel.
100%. 100%. And I feel like when handling your mental health on an ongoing basis, when it's top of mind, that is a huge part of it, is your daily interactions with other people. I
Yeah.
think that makes us uniquely skilled in that way. We might have
Yeah.
unique
It's
mental
potentially the only
conditions.
skill that I've got, but yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
So that was a lovely Denise who I got it wrong. Well, not got it wrong. I said she was in Spain. I wasn't sure whether she was actually Spanish, British, whatever, but she was American. I'm always wrong. I always get something wrong. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something from it. She was lovely and very easy to chat to as well. Very, very easy to chat to. So this will be going out on Wednesday. It should, I think this is going out on the 18th. As usual, it goes everywhere. It'll be on YouTube as a visual, and it's everywhere else as an audio. Just another, if anybody would like to come on the podcast as a guest, just email rebootyourthoughtspodcast@gmail.com and we'll have a wee chat about it. It doesn't have to be about mental health, it can be anything to do with life. If you would like to sponsor or promote the podcast, sponsor or advertise, sorry, is the word I was looking for. If you'd like to sponsor or advertise the podcast, then advertise on the podcast. Get my words mixed up now. Email again and rebootyourthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to contact me about appointments to do with counselling, coaching, holistic therapies, then you can look on the website. It's therebootsanctuary.com and there is a WhatsApp button on there. So if you just hit the WhatsApp button, send me a quick message and I'll get back to you ASAP. Normally within 24 hours. We try and do it less than 24 hours, but it just depends how busy my day's got. And time differences, we can help people all over the world with counselling and coaching, just not holistic therapies. And I think that's about it for today. I am going to go edit and get this sorted. For now, I will speak to you all later, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.